So in this video, I want to quickly show you how you can calculate the number of bags or units of fertilizer product that is required. As you know, the recommendation usually comes in kilograms. So you would see like the total products recommended. Yeah. So, but the total product does not say how many bags, for example, or how many bottles if you want to go by bottles, but let's do bags for simplicity's sake. So let's take a look at this example. The option one is definitely, as you know, is for blending. Okay. Option two, which is what I want to focus on, is for picking up what you can find from the market to combine them in a way that closes the gap. Now for this recommendation, it says you can identify 3 products. So there is the DAP, okay, there is the TSP. So DAP is diammonium phosphate, TSP is triple superphosphate, and you have the NPK 20-10-10. Now notice that for each of them, it defines the amount of P in DAP, okay? So just stay with me, all right? So for DAP, you will need about 74 kilogram per hectare of this element that is inside. So this is a phosphate compound inside the DAP fertilizer. So don't worry about this, okay? For TSP, this is the amount of phosphate compound in TSP. For NPK, this is the amount of nitrogen, the amount of phosphate, and the amount of potash, molarate of potash. What you should pay attention to is the total product for the farm size, okay? So the total products you need for DAP is 108 kilos, okay? Now, to calculate this, you need to know how many percentage of phosphate is in DAP. All right. So for every 50 kg bag, so you decide, you check in your local market, how are they selling DAP? Is it in 20, 10 kilo or 50 kilo? But I'm assuming 50 kilo. So if it is 50 kilo, DAP contains about 46% of this element of phosphate compound. Yeah, 46%. That means inside that 50 kilos, yeah, you only have 50 divided by 0.50 multiplied by 0.46, which is 46%. So for every 50 kilo of DAP, there is only 23 kilograms of phosphate inside. The rest are other materials, enrichments and all. So if you want to calculate the number of bags you need, you now need to divide 108 by 23. So if I say 108.7 divided by 23, I will have 4.7. So 4.7 is the equivalent of 5 bags. You see how it is? So step 1, you need to know how many percentage of this phosphate is in the DAP. All DAP contains 46% of phosphate, all the DAP. So you always know that. So first of all, divide this total product by 46%, which is like multiply anyway. Multiply by 0.46. 0.46 is the same thing as 46%, okay? When you multiply the size of the bag, which is 50 kg, by 0.46, it tells you how much of this element is inside the bag. Then whatever you get, use it to divide this one. That gives the number of bags. For TSP is the same thing. TSP contains about 46% phosphate. Is the same as DAP. The difference between DAP and TSP is that DAP also contains some nitrogen in the form of ammonium. That's the difference. Okay. Now, some companies might have a slightly different composition, but generally you will have about the same phosphate in TSP and in DAP. In some cases, it can be less. Okay. So always look at the bag to know how much of the phosphate is in the product. Okay. So in the case of TSP, we divide the size of the bag, in this case 50 kilos, by that we multiply, not divide. So we multiply by 0.46. Okay. When we multiply, we will get we will get the same as 23. So with that 23, use and divide this to get the number of bags. For NPK, the base element is nitrogen. So nitrogen contains 20%, or NPK contains 20% of nitrogen in it. And we need 64%. You know, these ones are, you call them trailing ratios. So you don't need to convert for all of them. You just convert for N and it takes care of the rest. So if you have an NPK where the P is a higher number, then you also interpolate with the higher number. So in this case, I'm using the higher number 20. All right. So inside NPK 20-10-10, there is 20% of nitrogen in it. So what I need to do is, first of all, to say 50 kg times by 0.2. So how much nitrogen do I get? I get 10 kilos. Out of that 50 kg, only 10 is nitrogen. Okay. So it is that 10 I will use to divide 64.7. So if you divide 64.7 by 10, of course, you know is 6.47, roughly 6.5 bag. We can do either 6 or 7. So you see, it is that easy to calculate the number of bags. What we will do in the coming days is to add that calculation for you automatically. But in the interest of knowledge, I think it's important that you know how it works. So let me use the DAP as an example again. For DAP, first of all, you check the bag and see what's the percentage of P in the bag, or phosphate in the bag. Usually it's 46%. Multiply 46% by the total kilograms of the bag itself. So the bag is 50, multiply by 46, you get 23, right? Then the next step is to now take that number and use it and divide this number. That gives you the total number of bags. If you have any question, please let me know. Happy to provide more explanation. Thank you.